Hey guys, welcome back to Quick Notes with Chris. Today we're going to be talking about the book From Good to Great by Jim Collins, specifically Good to Great from Jim Collins. This one is heavy business orientated, so if you run a business or work in a company where there's a level of leadership involved, I highly recommend that you listen to this video or, of course, read the book because there's always going to be more information that you can derive from the book. There's just certain things that they hash out in further ways, and there might even be certain points and topics that you connect to better than what I did because this is exactly my understanding of everything that it was spoken about. So, if you run a business or a company, this is probably going to be incredibly useful towards you. So the business starts talking about three basically things that it understands, and when I viewed the trends on a company or a business that moved from good to great. The first one is being a hedgehog, right? The bus and a level 5 leader. Now, I'm going to go further into this on what this specifically means. Basically, a hedgehog means that they had a simple strategy that's been tried and tested and they stick to it and works. It means that although the company may be innovative in whatever it is selling, in terms of their execution and the process, it's been time tested and they do it. They talk about the hedgehog versus the fox analogy. A fox, although cunning and has multiple different ways to achieve something, the hedgehog always wins because it always knows exactly what works. So companies that understand exactly what their model is, exactly what they're trying to accomplish, maybe even exactly their why it is they're doing it, they stick to their execution study across the period of times, and they might just increase the intensity, but they don't change it. I'm talking about huge companies. I'm talking about Fortune 500s before they were on the Fortune 500. It talks about basically understanding the basics, understanding the trends, and sticking to what it is that they represent. They always talk in the book. He talks about the analogy of Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo was a bank that was nowhere near the biggest bank. Although what they were able to do was have consistent investments and stick to what they were able to offer. But doing this through a hedgehog way and sticking to what it is that they were able to be good at, maximizing on their strengths, limiting on their weaknesses, they end up becoming one of the biggest banks in America, right? Because they understood that they couldn't beat a lot of the other bigger banks, but what they could do is work on what they were strong at. So that's what really talking about hedgehog is. Limiting, decreasing your weaknesses, maximizing on your strengths, right? If you're good at one thing, right, maximize on that. Whatever you're lacking in, minimize so it doesn't become a problem, but it isn't a part of your success. The next one it talks about is the bus. All right, so the bus basically represents like the company. So the company, so they had three ways that they put it. So the first one was who were they letting on the bus, who were they letting go, and where were people sitting? So this basically, to put that into more like a business terms so you have a bit of a better understanding. So who were they hiring, who were they firing, and where were the people sitting? And it's honestly really, really, really interesting. So the first question they asked themselves after they were considering firing people, if they considered once they understood who person was and who they wanted to work with, they'd always ask the question: if this person was to leave and wanted to come back, would we hire them again? If this person was to leave and they wanted to come back, would they hire them again? If the answer was no, then that meant that they would look towards firing them or putting them in a position that it basically had less to do with the expansion of the company, right? Which is a very interesting way to look at it. It basically talked about how is this person positive or toxic to the environment of the workplace, and depending on the answer, that depended on the reaction. The next thing is that they'd go, who's at the front and who's at the back. So the front of the bus represents everyone who took the company and understood the opportunities that came with it and wanted to make the most of they can out of the opportunities that came with the company. Basically, these were the driven people who understood what they had and were going to try to do whatever it took in order to take advantage of the circumstances that they got. These are people that you can consistently work with over a long period of time because they're there for the long haul. They're there because they understand what they have their hands on, and those are the people that they wanted to put in positions, right, that involved the expansion of the company, increasing the profits, increasing the sales, increasing their relevancy in the world. The other side of the market, they wanted the best people who were good at simply solving problems. They didn't care too much about where they did it. They just cared about the job that they had done, and they put them in positions that weren't to do with leadership or had minimal to do with leading teams that would drastically affect the company. As much as the other one seems like incredibly important, which it definitely is, so is the other one, because if you put someone who wants the best of that opportunities at a company, wants to literally take advantage of everything that they've got, and you put them in a position where all they've done is restricted, they'll eventually leave, and so you have a hole in your bus. And that's what the bus sort of talks about. So would you hire this person again, right? And where are they sitting? And I really honestly thought that was incredibly great analogy in terms of, especially if you're running your own business. So how you can attribute to that is, first of all, do you have a toxic staff? If these people were to quit, would you hire them again? Now, if the answer is you wouldn't hire them again, then what are they doing there? All right, what position are they in? Are they a part of the expansion progress? Are they a part of the are they part of the team where they do care about the opportunity that they've been given? They can expand on this. They can start moving out. If they're not there, then you need to basically, because of course it's not good to just fire people out of the blue unless they do something directly wrong. You want to put them in a decision in a part of the business, in a part of the bus, which just solely focuses around solving problems and problems that consistently come up. So they still are there doing their job and they still are beneficial to the company. But if they were to leave, they are easily replaceable, right? If you can master that, then your business is already on its way to being growing. The next one that it talks about, which is incredibly interesting, it's about level 5 leaders, right? So these high earning companies, the ones that had all of the that went from good to great, always had a level 5 leader. So it talks about the different types of leaders. So level 1 is just a skilled worker, a person who understands how to do the job, can do work. Now, they're dime a dozen. There's so many of them at every single job. They're normally the people that you enjoy to work with and can inspire the other workers around you in order to basically make sure that you're doing the right thing through action, which is awesome. It's the first type of leadership is leading by example. The next one is that they are a reliable teammate. So not only were they competent at their job, but they were also reliable with it. They were never late. And in fact, when it came to inspiring others, they were always there. They're always there. They're always ready to do it. The next part is that they're an organized manager. So this is when they've proved themselves in an organized management role. They've been able to manage a team, keep them on track, hit targets, make sure that they're not falling by. The next part of the lever is that they are a visionary. They understood exactly what it is that they were wanting to achieve. This is a level 4 leader. So they do want more for the company. They're not just about being there, fulfilling their role. They're all about actually moving there, increasing the people around them, increasing themselves, increasing the company they're working with. They're a visionary. But a level 5 leader, now this is incredibly rare. A level 5 leader, this is someone who has extreme humility. So they're humble, right? Extreme humility and resolve, right? Every single massive CEO who took it from a different level, it was one of these level 5 leaders. A leader with everything mentioned previously, a skilled worker, reliable teammate, organized management, a visionary, but on top of all, they had extreme humility and resolve. An example of this person that a lot of people actually know that's in the history books is Abraham Lincoln. Right? Abraham Lincoln, if you look at any one of his public speaking, and anyone basically gave him thanks, anyone gave him a level of praise, he'd always thank his team. He'd always take the spotlight off himself and be like, I couldn't do this without my team. He had extreme humility. He was never a cocky individual. That doesn't mean that he didn't have self-confidence or that he doesn't have an ego, because he definitely did. But when it came to the public eye, when it came to the public vision, he always knew that he wasn't going to put it all on his back, and he was always going to put it on the people who helped carry his vision, the people who helped carry his drive, his resolve. Now, the second part of it is that he actually abolished the slave movement, which was a crazy thing in that time, because it was something that everybody liked. 90% of people, liked it, and the other 10%, they just didn't like the practice. They weren't willing to ban it with everyone. It's sort of like how, back in the day, smoking was something that everybody wanted to do, but now it's definitely seen as something that you shouldn't. In fact, everybody who smokes understands the risk when they take it, all right? And at the time, it was huge. When people were like, we're going to abolish slavery, they were like, why? It was the same as saying something absurd like, we're going to ban cars because cars are bad for the environment. Nobody wanted to do it, but he had such extreme resolve that he didn't care about what people thought. He didn't care what people were telling him. He was going to follow through with what he knew was right. And that's the key. A visionary, a level 5 leader, right, with extreme humility and extreme resolve, doesn't care about what other people talk about him, doesn't care what other people think. They've looked at the facts, they've formed their own opinion, and will basically follow through on what they've set out to do no matter what. And if you can duplicate this in yourself, because it's a learnt skill. It's just these people were obviously grown up in a certain aspect, in a certain way, that aids in their potential of doing it. But you can certainly duplicate this. Basically, no matter what adversity they were facing, they were going to follow through with what they believed was right. For whatever reasons, whether the facts said it, whether they just had certain feelings, whether simply because they said that they were going to, they had extreme resolve. And that's the key to being a level 5 leader. Now, if you aren't a level 5 leader, then your goal should be able to recruit one, either into your business, into your team. If you can find these finite people, they are the CEOs of the companies they are the CEOs of the high achievers. Mark Zuckerberg, he had a vision. He wanted to connect the world, right? Bill Gates, he wanted Microsoft on every single TV. They have a vision, right? And they have a humility. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, if you look at any public interview, they're always giving back to the people around them. Anyways, guys, that's Quick Notes with Chris. from Good to Great by Jim Collins, but I highly suggest you don't let the improvements stop there. There are a lot of other videos on the site that you can actually look at if you like what we're doing. Like, comment, subscribe, and continue your journey to put yourself in a better position for success. I'll see you in the next video, guys.